Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapata Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raganatam Yutam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Savadutam Parajana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakandritamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vijabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivajari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Nama Eva Kevalam Kola Nasteva Gatiranyata. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Jaiva Dharma, 5th chapter. Vaidhi Bhakti is Nitya not Naimitika Dharma. So Lahiri Masai is getting instructions from Premdas Babaji Maharaj and Vaishnav Das. And so here it has been explained about Lahiri Mahashai's family and Chantipur, and the people are talking about him. But how come such a sober person is becoming a sentimentalist, so not understanding the greatness of a Vaishnav. Most of the people were Smarta Brahmanas at that time. But some few persons, they recognized and told also the family that he has become a wonderful Vaishnav. It is nice. So then they decided, the family, that so they should go and speak to their father, and try to bring him back. So Devi Das was there, and then uncle of Devi Das, Shambhunath. So they tried to change the mind of the father of Lahiri Mahashai, but he was fixed in his determination. And so Lahiri Mahasaya explaining about bhakti, about Nitya Dharma. What he has heard from Premdas Babaji and Vaishnav Das. So explaining about Nitya Dharma, Hari Bhakti, and about Namitika Dharma. So even Sandhya Vandana chanting the Gayatri, but if one is not devoted to Krishna, then that is only Namitika Dharma, it is temporary. So not with the proper understanding. Devidas so said, Father, I have never seen or heard of such an explanation in Shastra. Is Sandhya Vandana not Hari Bhajan? If it is Hari Bhajan, then it is also Nitya Dharma. Is there any difference between Sandhya Vandana and the practices that constitute Vaidhi Bhakti, such as Shravan and Kirtan? Lahiri Mahasaya said, the Sandhya Vandana that is included in Karma Kanda is significantly different from Vaidhi Bhakti. Sandhya Vandana, other such activities are performed in a Karma Kanda system in order to obtain liberation. However, activities of Hari Bhajan such as Shravan Kirtan have no ulterior motive. The Shastras describe the results of hearing, chanting, and the other names of Vaidhi Bhakti. But this is just to interest people who would otherwise not be inclined to perform those activities. The worship of Sri Hari has no fruit other than the service of Sri Hari. The principal fruit of the practice of Vaidhi Bhakti is to bring about the awakening of Prem and Hari Bhajan. So, Lahiri Mahasaya clearly explaining what he understood from the great Vaishnavas. And Devidas answering to this, then you admit that the divisions of Angas of Hari Bhajan have some secondary results? Lahiri, yes, but the results depend on the different types of practitioner sadhaka. The Vaishnavas perform sadhana bhakti for the sole purpose of coming to the perfectional stage of devotion known as Siddha Bhakti. And non-Vaishnavas perform the very same divisions or angas of bhakti. They have two principal motives: the desire for material enjoyment, bhoga, and the desire for liberation. Externally, there is no apparent difference between the sadhana practices of the Vaishnavas and those of non-Vaishnavas, but there is a fundamental difference in nishtha. So, of course, what Lahiri Mahasaya is saying, it is the truth. At the same time, so we should understand that so Vaishnavas who are truly qualified, so they are very rare. Sadguru, Sad Shishya, the pure Vaishnavas are rare. And of course, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has also explained later on, Shuddha Vaishnav is one who is chanting Shuddhanam, and the one who is chanting Namabhas, the reflection of the name, is known as Bhaktabhas, a semblance of a devotee. And the one who is chanting Namaparat is known as Prakrita Bhakta, materialistic devotee. So, There's a pure devotee there and semblance of a devotee and a materialistic devotee. So from one point of view, we may see them as Vaishnavas also, but they're not pure Vaishnavas. So, whereas here he's explaining as non-Vaishnav is not a Vaishnav. So that is quite a strong statement. So the pure devotee is doing sadhana, and even he may not be perfect, as explained here, to the Vaishnava perform sadhana bhakti, and with the purpose of coming to the perfection stage, Siddha Bhakti or Shuddha Bhakti, to attain Shuddha Bhakti or Siddha Bhakti. So, then other terms are there. Arab Siddha Bhakti. And of course, Sangha Siddha Bhakti, and so on. Or Kama Mishra Bhakti, Jnana Mishra Bhakti. So Bhakti mixed with, as mentioned here, with the desire to get some result of his activities, and one with the desire for liberation. Or he may have subtle desire also to be recognized as a great devotee. Name, fame, glory may still be there. So, as mentioned, so the pure devotees are very rare. And let's see, even from nowadays, if you see the different, even Vaishnava societies, which may be there, ISKCON, Gaudiya Math, or maybe other societies also. Amongst the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And then we have those worshipping Lakshmi Narayan from the Sri Sampradaya, those worshipping in a slightly different mood like Nimbargacharya, Vishnu Swami. So even amongst them, so those who are pure Vaishnavas, they're very rare. So, and then to address anyone else as a non-Vaishnava is a kind of hard line. So, that we have to understand. And usually a pure Vaishnava, he will see that everyone is a Vaishnava except himself. He does not make such a distinction. So, but then usually, generally, those who are not so advanced, specifically the Kanishtaritari, he may think, I am a Vaishnava, and he may not see others as Vaishnavas. So that may be there. And then he may make such distinction that he will hardly see a pure Vaishnava, except maybe himself. And then he will criticize others and may see that everyone else is not really a Vaishnava, just finding faults in others. So that we may have to say at this point, as we are hearing from Lahiri Maharaji. Externally, there's no apparent difference between the sadhana practice of the Vaishnavas and those of non-Vaishnavas. But there is a fundamental difference in Nishtha. So, faith. So the pure Vaishnavas, they are Driya Vishwas. And they are surrendered. And they are humble. Whereas others, they are not so. They are under the most mature nature, and therefore there is no question of full surrender, trying to be surrendered. And they're trying to be faithful, and they're trying to be humble. So that we have to understand. And you may see all the Vaishnavas, and externally, as explained here, one is chanting the holy names and doing Gayatri, chanting the Gayatri. Another one may not be so interested in chanting the holy names and chanting Gayatri. So the son is also saying that Sandhya Vandana, according to Devi, does, so that seems to be Hari Bhajan, because one is remembering the Lord by chanting the Gayatri. So just a few words so that one may clearly understand. When one worships Krishna through the path of karma, the mind is purified and one may obtain material fruits, freedom from disease or liberation. But the same worship of Krishna through the path of bhakti produces only prem for Krishna Nam. And karma is those who follow the path of karma. Observe Ekadashi, it eradicates their sins, whereas when bhaktas observe Ekadashi, it enhances their Hari Bhakti. Just see what a world of difference there is. So Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita also that one should not disturb the persons who are engaged in their particular karma. And so, but it should be encouraged in their work, and then they may be encouraged to slowly but surely become more devoted to the Lord. So, Hare Krishna is saying Bhagavad Gita. So, that we may see at this place here. The subtle difference between sadhana performed as an aspect of karma and sadhana performed as an aspect of bhakti may be known only by the mercy of Bhagavan. So that is definitely there. The difference between sadhana as an aspect of karma, as an aspect of bhakti. So those devotees who are more advanced, they can understand. So that is certainly true. The bhaktas obtain the primary result, whereas the karmis are caught up in the secondary results, which may be broadly divided into two categories, namely bhakti, material sense enjoyment, and bhukti, in sense enjoyment, and mukti, liberation. So just, just to make a point, again, so bhakti is rarely achieved. Pure bhakti, but we try our best. And let others who have not come to pure bhakti, let them slowly but surely advance. So Devi does. then why do the Shastras extol the virtues of the secondary results? So, Lahiri, there are two kinds of people in this world. Those who are spiritually awake and those who are spiritually unconscious. The Shastras have praised secondary results for the benefit of those who are spiritually unconscious and who do not perform any pious activity unless they can visualize a forthcoming result. So, actually, we hear the Shastras, we read the Shastras under the guidance of the Vaishnavas. In the beginning, so naturally, a devotee does not have much knowledge. And so he's accepting whatever is mentioned in the scriptures, whatever is told by the various speakers, and he may not be able to discriminate who is advanced and who is not advanced. So the neophyte devotee, which majority in the beginning, obviously the neophyte devotees, unless in previous life they were already practicing and then they came to a high level, and then they may be joining and then they may very quickly understand the things. Like here in this, what we have seen, Vaishnavas very quickly becoming elevated. So Lahiri Mahashaya also understanding now better what is pure devotional service and what is everything else. So sometimes at different places, different things are mentioned in the scriptures in regards to a spiritual life. So, as mentioned here also, or like even, for example, of this material world. So we know the material world is very vast and the spiritual world is also very vast. Vaikuntha planets are there, and then the highest planet, Krishna Loka, is there. And that is also divided. Krishna Loka in 4. Dwarkapuri, Mathurapuri, and Braj Bhumi, Golok Dham. And then Chaitanya Navadip is there. And this material world, different universes are there, unlimited, and each universe there. Actually, sometimes 3 planetary systems are mentioned. Upper, middle, and lower. So there are 3 planetary systems, upper, middle, and lower. But then other places, it is explained that there are 14 planetary systems. So both are correct. So middle planetary system, so that is Bhumandal, in which we are situated, in the upper planetary system, that is Bhuvalok, Svarglok, Mahalok, and then Tapalok and Satyalok and Patal, Rasal, and so on, different planets, and the hellish planets lower. So in this way, sometimes it is elaborately explained a little more. Or we have the Asuras and the Suras. The Suras means the godly people, and Asuras means the demoniac people. And the personalists and the impersonalists. So, and amongst the impersonalists, there are different kinds of impersonalists, the Mayavadis, the Buddhists, and then even those who are meditating on Paramatma, And even some of them are actually impersonalists, they want to merge into Paramatma. Yeah. So differences are there, and different kinds of artistic persons are there. Some are just believing in God, and they may be materialistic persons. And some they are demons and totally artistic, and they're hating the devotees and the Lord, and they're speaking against them. So different groups are there. And amongst the devotees, so different devotees are there. First class, second class, and third class. But then ultimately everyone is Jivar Swapoy Krishna Nityadas. Everyone is spirit soul. And everyone is a servant of Krishna or Vishnu or Narayan. So that is the vision of the advanced devotee. So here in regards to consciousness is saying that two kinds of people in the world, those who are spiritually awake and those who are spiritually unconscious. So even there may be a little more to be said in this way. That is mentioned also in the scriptures. So those who are simply seeing there's something to eat, or anamoy, so just the animals, they're just seeing something to eat. I need to eat something. The dogs, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So that is the animal. So, but even that sometimes is in the people who are just like animals almost, just interested in eating, sleeping, working and defending. And then pranamoy. So those who understand this, there's more in life than just eating, sleeping, mating and defending. There's life inside the body. So they may have some understanding that, we're not just polished animals. And then they try to find out what is the cause of our existence in this world, why we are here, what is happening. And then, so that person becomes then inquisitive, jnanamoy. So, why we are here, what is happening, this kind of that, and then they're inquisitive about spiritual life. So they're more conscious than anamoy and pranamoy. So amongst the human beings also. So anamoy, they are practically, as mentioned here, spiritually unconscious. And pranamoy, so they may also still be spiritually unconscious. But they know there's a little bit more than just eating and sleeping. But then jnanamoy, so some spiritual awareness, awakening is there. And they want to find out more. And then comes vijnanamoy, so those who are actually realized, they have some realization. So hearing about the Lord, hearing about the process of devotional service, so that is done with realization, vijnanamoy. So they are realized, vijnanamoy. And then those who are on the highest stage, anandamoy. They are in anand. And they're feeling transcendental pleasure because they're on the platform of the soul, beyond the modes of material nature. So they're not only spiritually awake, but they're realized. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Param Zara Pashani Suryaho Divivachak Sur Adadam Tat Pitpavinjavo Jagrivam Sasanandate Vishnu Yat Paramam Padam, so that it refers to the Brahmanas. Vipra Jagrivam Sa Jagiri Mansa means spiritually awake. So the Brahmanas are spiritually awake. Right. So, but here also again different degrees. Like here, Harimasha is from a Brahmana family and his sons. They are also, to some extent, spiritually awake. And they are reading the scriptures, especially Devidas. But they don't have full knowledge, so therefore they are on the platform of Jnanamoy. They have knowledge, but no practical realization of the subject matter, of their existence and of the Supreme Lord and the relationship. But spiritual awakening is there. So that we may say. So sometimes, so different things are mentioned, so just to clarify. The Shastras have praised secondary results for the benefit of those who are spiritually unconscious and who do not perform any pious activity unless they can visualize a forthcoming result. So that is for those who, so here. So sometimes it is not just completely black and white. That today I'm a Vaishnava and tomorrow yesterday I was today I'm a materialistic person and tomorrow I'm a Vaishnava. So it is not like this, it will take some time. So different levels are there. So I'm here, spiritually unconscious, spiritually conscious. So it's not one day one is spiritually unconscious, that's the next day one is spiritually awake. It is a gradual development. Shastras have praised sacred results for the benefit of those who are spiritually unconscious. And who do not perform any pious activity unless they can visualize a forthcoming result. So that may be there in the Shastras. Even it is mentioned there, if one is performing Chaturmas, and different things are mentioned, what the benefits are there. If one is not shaving during Chaturmas, what the benefit one will get. If one is not taking any milk products, what benefit will be there? So that may be mentioned. And so therefore those who are doing that to get some specific benefit, they may do so, and not understanding that actually most important is that one is engaging in pure devotional service. So there is a fine line there also. And again, so we may say that how many devotees are performing pure bhakti, siddha bhakti? Very rare. And Krishna says also in Bhagavad Gita, Bhavanam janamamante jnanamamam pavadete vasudeva sarvam samahatma sudurlabhaha. After many births, one may attain perfection and understand Krishna or Vasudeva to be all in all. And that is a Mahatma. Manushyanam sahasreshu kashtit yatadisiriya yatadam abhisiranam kashyamam veti tattvataha. So among thousands of men. So one may endeavor for this spiritual life, for perfection. And those who have achieved this perfection, or those who are on this path, it is very rare to find one who knows me in truth, who has realized Krishna. practical realization of Krishna and Krishna Sarup, is Satchidananda Sarup and then his own Sarup. So very rare. Janma karma chamedevyam evam yaveti tatvataha tyaktva deham punarjanama naitimamiti swajuna. So those who know Krishna in truth, about his appearance, his activities, his pastimes, after giving up his body, he does not have to take birth again. So, even we may say, just like Prabhupada, he is mentioning that yes, chant 16 rounds and follow 4 regulatory principles and go back home, back to Godhead. So after giving up this body. So that is definitely true. At the same time also, Prabhupada has mentioned that one has to become pure. In one place is right, he has mentioned, even if you have just the desire to enjoy one rasgula, then you have to take birth again. So if you are not free from material desires, then you cannot go to the spiritual world. And one time he was saying, all my devotees are pure devotees. But then also, as we see here, and in other places and practically. So what is the definition of a pure devotee? So different times the acharyas have said different things according to time, place and circumstances that we have to understand. So however, the Shastras do not intend such people to remain satisfied with secondary results. Rather, their attraction to secondary results should induce them to perform virtuous acts which will hasten their contact with sadhus. Then by the mercy of the sadhus, they will come to know the primary results of Hari Bhajan and taste for those results which awaken within them. So, this ultimately we should be in the association of the sadhus. And under the guidance of the sadhus, one should perform devotional service. And yes, and try to advance in spiritual life. And the primary result of Hari Bhajan, so for the beginning devotees, that we should try to get a taste, and what taste is there? Nam Ruchi, Seva Ruchi, taste for chanting the holy name. Taste for serving. So we become more attached to Krishna and detached from this material world. So therefore one is performing Hari Bhajan. But not easy to come to that stage. Devidas. Then are we to understand that Raghunandan and the other authors of the Smriti Shastras are spiritually unconscious? No. But the system that they have prescribed is for the spiritually unconscious. However, they themselves seek the primary result. So that maybe there are even the scriptures. So the Puranas, 18 Puranas, 6 are propagating pure devotional service. So, bhakti to the Supreme Lord. That is for those in the mode of goodness, and for those in the mode of passion. So they are, the Puranas are there for those people who are in this kind of category, that they want the result of their activities, and therefore sometimes the worship of the demigods are explained. So at least they're worshipping the demigods, and I mean, they may get some result and at least they're doing something better than not following any dharma, better than doing vikarma, better to do karma than vikarma or adharma. So better one is following the scriptures, and at least, even he may have some material desires, but at least he's dovetailing. At least he's approaching he has a knowledge of the higher existence or higher beings, and understanding that ultimately he should also come to the platform. And then 6 Puranas are there for those who are in tamagun, in ignorance. So they may also adopt the spiritual path and then try to advance a little bit. So the scriptures are pure always. All the scriptures, but some of them are meant for those who are spiritually unconscious. And similarly here, some matching with this Raghunandan, so a scholar. And so authors of Smriti Shastras. So they're spiritually conscious, but they may practice so devotional service, but then they are written for those who are not so inclined. Devidas, some Shastras only describe the secondary results and do not mention the primary results at all. Why is this? Now there are 3 types of Shastra. So here is mentioned also. Corresponding to the varieties of adhikar among human beings. Sattvic, of the nature of goodness, Rajasic, of the nature of passion, and Tamasic, of the nature of ignorance. So as just explained. The Sattvic Shastras are for people who are imbued with the nature of goodness, Sattva Gun. The Rajasic Shastras are for those enveloped by the nature of passion, Rajagun, and the Tamasic Shastras for those engrossed in the nature of ignorance, Tamagun. So that is clear. Devidas. If that is the case, how should one know which directives for the Shastras to have faith in, and how many of those lower-adhikar eligibility attain a higher destination? Lahiri. Human beings have different natures on faith according to the different levels of adhikar. People who are impelled primarily by the mode of ignorance have natural faith in the Tamasic Shastras. Those affected primarily by the mode of passion have natural faith in the Rajasic Shastras, and those in the mode of goodness naturally have faith in the Sattvic Shastras. One's belief in a particular conclusion of the Shastra is naturally in accordance with one's faith. So that is clear. As one faithfully carries out the duties for which one has the adhikar, he may come in contact with sadhus and develop a higher adhikar through their association. And here also we may see, because material nature is very strong, and you may see, for example, devotees also, who are actually so have faith in the path of bhakti, and so they may have, so to say, some sattvic inclination. So therefore, the faith is sattvic, and so they are hearing the sattvic shastras, or even devotional scriptures. And specifically in our case, the books of the 6 Goswamis. But even there you can see that not everyone is in the mode of goodness, because even there you can see some devotees are in goodness very much, others are in the mode of passion, and some are in the mode of ignorance. And anyhow, even if one is a sattvic person or a devotee, still, unless one is pure, Rajagun and Tamagun will be there. So that we have to understand. But here, as one faithfully carries out the duties for which one has the adhikar, he may come in contact with the sadhu and develop a higher adhikar through their associations. So again, here also, sadhu sangha is important. If we want to advance, we should be with those who are more advanced. As soon as a higher adhikar is awakened, one's nature is elevated, and one's faith in a more elevated shastra will follow accordingly. Here for the devotees, first we hear about sadhana bhakti, and specifically Vaidhi bhakti, and therefore Prabhupada has given books also for those who are beginners, like for example, Upadeshamrita, Nectar of Devotion, Bhagavad Gita and so on. And even Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, he gave this Jaiva Dharma in the beginning for the devotees to read. And then Chaitanya Bhagavat about Mahaprabhu's pastimes, and then Bhagavatam and so on. And then all the scriptures were there. So Prabhupada also, he gave to those in the beginning, he gave some books, and then recommending the Srimad Bhagavatam, and for those who are more advanced, the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So the association of the sadhus, so then we should study the scriptures. That the sadhu is more advanced, he will tell what to read now and what not to read. Like if one is still a beginner devotee, he should not read Govinda Lilamrita, Gita Govind, which is about Radha Krishna's pastimes and their loving, transcendental loving exchange. Because one is not qualified for that. The authors of the Shastras were infallible in their wisdom and composed the Shastras in such a way that one will gradually develop higher adhikar by carrying out the duties for which one is eligible and in which one naturally has faith. It is for this reason that different directives have been given in different Shastras. Faith in the Shastras is the root of all auspiciousness. So we should have faith in the Shastra. We should study the Shastras. We should hear from the sadhus the Shastras. Guru Sadhu Shastra. So we take shelter of the spell master who is speaking according to Shastra. We should take shelter of the scriptures. Srimad Bhagavad Gita is the Mimamsa Shastra of all the Shastras. This Siddhanta is clearly stated there. Devidas, I have studied many Shastras since my childhood, but today by your grace I have understood their purpose in an entirely new light. Lahiri, it is written in Srimad Bhagavatam, Anubhyascha mahadvyascha shastrebhyo kushalon naraha sarvata saram adadyat pushpebhya iva padaha. An intelligent person will take the essence of all the Shastras, whether they are great or small, just as a bumblebee gathers honey from different types of flowers. My dear son, I used to call you an atheist. Now I don't criticize anyone because faith depends on adhikar. There's no question of criticism in this regard. Everyone is working according to their own adhikar and they will advance gradually when the time is appropriate. You're a scholar of the Shastras dealing with logic and fruitive action, and since your statements are in accordance with your adhikar, there is no fault in them. So first Lahiri Mahashaya, as we can now, as he's himself saying, he thought that his son is an atheist. But now he's saying that now I understand that you're a scholar of scriptures, but you're dealing with logic and with fruitive action. So therefore he was mentioning also non-Vaishnav and the Vaishnav. And so Devi Das is also now changing, and he is saying, Devi Das, until now I believe that there were no scholars in the Vaishnava Sampradaya. I thought that the Vaishnavas were merely fanatics who concerned themselves slowly with one part of the Shastra, but what you have explained today has completely dispelled my misconceptions. Now I have faith that some of the Vaishnavas have truly understood the essence of the Shastra. Are you studying the Shastra from any great soul these days? So Devi does also his understanding now that the Vaishnavas are not just sentimentalists. Even now you can see many so-called great scholars that think that the Vaishnavas are sentimentalists. But the Vaishnavas, the true Vaishnavas, the Acharyas, Vaishnava Acharyas, they are great scholars. But they're the only great scholars, but the main thing is actually that they're great devotees of Krishna. And therefore, they have perfect knowledge, pure knowledge. And they know the essence of the scriptures. They are Saragrahi Vaishnav, as explained also here, above from the Srimad Bhagavatam. An intelligent person who will take the essence of all the scriptures. Saram, Sarvata Saram. Saram is the essence. So, but Thakur in one book also is explaining we should become Saragrahi Vaishnav. A Vaishnav who has taken this essence. What is the essence of the scriptures? Even what is the essence of the devotional scriptures? What is the essence of the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy? So he has taken the essence, the Saragrahi Vaishnav. And all the Vaishnavas are there. Baradari Vaishnav. Bara means a kind of load. Dari holding a load. There's some misconception, or they are maybe Vaishnavas to some extent, but they want name, fame, glory, the same old story, or they want some benefits. So then they are actually materialistic devotees. So that is a kind of burden. So, but we should take the essence and live a simple life. But we should know what is the essence, and then accordingly we do our bhajan. So the Vaishnavas are Saragrahi Vaishnav. They understand what is the essence. And then they do their bhajan. So they have knowledge, they know the essence of the scriptures. By good fortune, by hearing from the sadhus, then one becomes a sadhu. Lahiri, my son, you may now call me a fanatical, or a fanatical Vaishnava, or whatever you like. My Gurudev performs bhajan in the kutir next to mine. He has instructed me in the essential conclusion of all the Shastras, and I have just expressed the same thing to you. If you would like to receive instruction at his lotus feet, you may inquire from him in a devotional mood. Come, I will introduce you to him. Nayari Masha, I took Devi Das Vidyaratna to the kutir of Sri Vaishnav Das. Babaji Maharaj and introduced him to his Gurudev. He then left Devi Das with Babaji Maharaj and returned to his kutir to chant Harinam. So Lahiri Mahasaya took his son to Vaishnav Das Babaji Maharaj, and so that Babaji Maharaj could help his son in also becoming a Vaishnav. And so Vaishnav, he doesn't want to waste any time. So therefore Lahiri Mahasaya, he returned to his kutir and he started to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, yes, of course. That is also extraordinary, because usually in such a situation, usually the father would just be there with the son, and he may also then just listen to what another great soul is saying. Although he himself, so he has learned from Vaishnav Das, Lahaya Mashai. But usually that would be the case, that the father would just be there with the son when he's getting instructed. But here, Lahaya Mashai, he just went to change our path. So interesting. Vaishnava, my dear son, what is the extent of your education? Devidas, I have studied up to Muktipad and Siddhanta Kusumanjali in the Nyaya Shastra and all the books of the Smriti Shastra. Siddhanta Kusumanjali. Siddhanta means the conclusion. So Kusum Anjali. Kusum means a flower. Anjali means the hands held in this way. And then Kusum Anjali is Pushpanjali, offering flowers. So Siddhartha Kusum Anjali means like a handful of conclusive statement from Nyaya Shastra. Nyaya means logic. What is logical? So that is interesting. So we stop here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Om, Nitai Gaur Hare Shyam, Jai Krishna Bhagavan. Shri Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki, Satchidananda Gaur Hari ki, Shri Radha Shyam Sundar ki.